Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Vidya, for that wonderful and lovely introduction. Really an honor and privilege to be here and talk about what this whole journey has been for me. So largely, what I have been doing in over these years have been moving from one area to the other. Largely, I've been striving to live my life out of the box, and I urge and tell people outside today to live their life out of the box. And largely, that's what I preach. I would not say preach, but I would encourage everybody to do that. And it's been really exciting for me to literally, like, though it's not physical, the virtual, but yes, it's kind of getting back to your alma mater in terms of where you all began, the journey began. I remember the studio and the labs, which used to be the basement then. When we were the first batch, we were doing our masters. I think we were hardly three, four of us. It was a very small batch then, and it was very nascent those days. It was just getting geared up. People were getting to hear Viscom and Masscom, and it was large. It's kind of exploding really big in terms of where the opportunity lies. So I'll give a quick heads up in terms of how we're going to keep it. So before I head there, I'll probably you spoke about my journey. I want to quickly show some visuals on how my journey has been before I really get into the filmmaking to give a perspective as to why I'm showing this as well. So, like you mentioned, this is one aspect of my journey where I started. I came out, I became a filmmaker, and I've been running a production house, doing different sets of films. Amazing journey that I've had, no regrets in terms of what we've been doing. Of course, as a filmmaker, you constantly strive to see what next and better project that you can get to do that. And from there, I went on to explore something more deeper. And this is in the last couple of years that's been happening for me, which is like working at my core, discovering, as all creative individuals, we kind of constantly go through this journey of self-discovery every now and then, or it's about, I wouldn't call it self-doubt, but then you find what's your core. And I realized I'm probably more an artist at the core, and I started doing paintings, art, and stuff like that, not from any business or a commercial perspective, but largely from a perspective that it gives me happiness and let me make more and more films that keeps me happy. So that's where this journey started. And I made a lot of paintings. And from the paintings, I soon realized that people were interested in picking up the paintings and they were wanting to buy the paintings. And step by step, I saw that paintings were getting sold. And soon, that's our office. Our team works this. We keep it a more interactive, fun space rather than a typical office kind of per se. So it kind of helps them to enjoy the creative journey when they are there. And then the artworks that I was talking about started moving to places. They were being applied to houses, villas. We extended that idea into offices, public spaces, installations at various sites, doctors' clinics, hotels and restaurants, clubhouses, gyms, designing some auditoriums, galleries. What I'm saying this journey, why I'm showing this is because today one has to think beyond how your film is going to be making. If you're making a film, it's just not the film that you've made and you've done. Like this gallery has lots of audio-visual experiences and physical experiences. It's about storytelling, how you tell your story in a phygital space today. It's a combination of physical and your digital space, which are merging together because there's no more lines of physical separate or the digital separate. So if you're thinking space or your audiovisual content, the blending of everything has to become very critical. So it's about how you think of your content is merging with the environment. And that's what the whole concentration is today. And that's what I would urge all of the students today to think on those lines, because the old methodologies and things are blurring. Though the technicalities could be more or less the same, but how you apply and how you take it out into different spaces will vary. And from there, I became a speaker. I've been talking about the same experience around in terms of my art journey and stuff like that. I take it to corporates. I do workshops with them. I do outbound training using art and films. I make like groups of 100 people to make films in 2 hours and 3 hours. So very interesting for them because they've never done something. So they use these ideas to do that during outbound trainings. And of course, worked with a lot of kids in terms of this journey and taking that forward to consulting. And in the lockdown period, what I've done is had some time, so set it up as an online academy called the Out the Box Academy, where I talk more about techniques and simple hacks of filmmaking and other collaborative speeches and stuff like that. So the big question that I want to ask everybody, when we move into something like, if you're talking about your films and you want to make your film, very, very important question. So what I want to tell everybody is, let's make this not as a lecture session, but I would want it to be a really interactive session in terms of what you guys want to do. And I'm sure the session is about short film making. I would rather say whatever kind of format that you want to take. How many of you are geared up to make a short film right now or in the next immediate future? If you are, why don't you type S in the chat window? So let's make this more communicative process. So you can use the chat window more effectively so that we have a lot of conversation going up. So if you're up there and you're wanting to make your chat window more active, let's keep that as a communication tool between us in terms of what you want to do and how you want to do and what are the different things that you want to take across. Now, is the chat window open to everyone, or is that restricted?
So it is open to everyone.
It's open to everyone, right? Yeah, sure. Done. So while you guys think through in terms of your short film and stuff like that, the objective that I'm going to take you guys through today is to take through few very, very core ideas. It's not about seeing a different short films or how many short films that you see, but then there are fundamental questions, or if you're making a short film, I think these are something that you need to be really working on, because all that matters is the work that you do before the film happens and what happens after the film. The making process is something that everybody, you are aware of. You're making the film, you're going to start, you're going to write your basic script and all of that. But I'm urging you on a whole lot of questions that you need to be asking yourself. And that's largely the perspective that I'm taking today, is to what is that you need to be working on when you're making your short film. Because I feel what you make as your story is your personal journey. What you feel or what you are sensitized about or what you want to tell the world as your story. That's your journey. So because that's nobody's perspective or opinion might matter, but how you use that as a craft or how you fine tune it, yes, that's probably a key there in terms of taking and using that. So the first and foremost question that I want to ask everybody is to focus on the aspect of your story. The very, very important question that's important for all of you to keep in mind is, what is your story? And in this, there has to be a clarity of the whole purpose. Why are you making this video? Or why are you making this short film? One, it could be like, I have a short film idea, I want to start and I want to tell the world, or I want to make this film so that I take this up, I show it to a bigger production house or a director, or I want to put it up on YouTube and become popular. Whatever you could start thinking about. But the fundamental core at why are you making this film? It's very important to ask this question. This might seem like a very, very simple question as to why you're making this. But then if you look deeper, you'll have to understand the core reason for which you're making this film. Like I have somebody writing in the thing like, okay, Archana says for people to know about what is happening, convey a message. Okay. I would urge you to dig a little more deeper here in this perspective, because it's about a larger perspective is to, of course, you're going to communicate a message, or you want to disperse this and reach out a particular message to a larger people. Dig deeper from your heart. Why are you making that film? Or why have you chosen a particular story? Largely, it happens if you look deeper inside, you say you get passionate about a particular story because you saw some incident or that deeply impacted you, or a story somebody told you and that impacted, or a journey that you've gone through, which you said that I've gone through this journey, or somebody else's journey, which you felt this, when put together.
Excuse me, Mr. Harish.
Yeah.
The content is coming in the reverse. It's not in direct reading, actually.
Okay.
Means whatever you are presenting. Now it's correct.
Oh, okay. Originally it was showing flipped, so I was wondering. So I had flipped it across. Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So the whole core idea as to why you're taking that journey, like, see, I can see more words coming out from you guys, convey our feeling, like if you're making something on a true story, you want people to see it, to make people understand things much better, to show your talent. Because I love to do films, I love the art of conveying something, to create an experience. Yes, I think you're getting a lot more deeper here. You showcase your talent. You showcase your talent need not be the core objective of who you are or why you're making the film. Because then it is no doubt a resume or your showreel or profile of what you're doing. But that cannot become the objective of your story or a film. Because then the purpose that you start thinking is, okay, I need to make a great film. So I want to show off my editing skills. I want to show off my cinematography techniques. I want to show my writing off. Then what you do is your starting point itself becomes that you want to impress somebody. But then it is about impacting that one person there, either touching that person's heart as an audience. If you keep that in mind, obviously all your craft skills are going to come behind it. People are going to love it and say, wow, what a story. And then, of course, your crafting techniques is going to add value to that. And it kind of happens. I totally agree. See, when I used to be a student back then, I'm talking about 2 decades back, we used to be so obsessed with the idea of, say, okay, I'm going to show my edits here, I'm going to use this kind of style of cut, or I'm going to show this and make a showreel like this, and then I'll showcase it to people across so that they'll be impressed with what I'm saying. But then above all that, it's not what lens you use, how you use your lens. It's about what you see through the lens that matters. Keep this in mind. It's not about the lens. It's not about the camera. It's what you see through that. That's going to make all the difference. And that becomes the core of where you are and how you're starting this. And then once you've kind of thought through your story, I'm saying when you're thinking through your story, the foremost thing that you need to be doing is either make it for your heart. Like I see some people write like, I like that idea from Ajay. It says, I love doing films. I love the art of conveying something. I think it starts from there. You love that and you want to convey a story or a message. Yes, it starts from there. But craft ways, show it in the film, but don't make that as the primary reason why you're making a film. Because make the film a larger purpose. Because once you've done that, then by default becomes your showcase. But then making a showcase cannot become your objective or your purpose. And once you've understood that, okay, I need to put something in terms of making the story, what I want to understand and tell you is you need to understand what is the message and the flow that you're going to take through. So I have told my story is, say, let's take for example, because I think that would help you guys even better to understand. Say, I'm making a love story or a funny love story. You know, if that's the thing. Why I'm making this? Because I like to have a lot of fun. I like to see to that my audience are having a good laugh and entertainment, and I like to give surprises to people on the storyline. Okay, so that's my thought. And I saw this, or I was seeing some people, I heard some incidents and all that. So I said, let me put this all together into a nice, interesting, humorous love story. Now, if that's the kind of a premise that I've done, now I need to dig a little deeper as to what is the message that I'm going to give through. The message need not be a message in terms of the perspective of a preachy message that I want to give, but then the message is, what is the message? This is a guy, he likes this girl, and the journey that he's going to take through in terms of impressing the girl and to win her heart. If that is the storyline that you've taken, you know, it's a very, I would say, a cliche, common thread line, which I'm saying lots of your Bollywood, Kollywood, and all these movies would take through. Now, in that, how is your messaging happening? So I said it has to be humorous. You know, what is this guy like? Okay, maybe this guy, I set the context of where he is, and I drive the message that this guy is probably a good for nothing, but then he's a funny guy. He enjoys life. He enjoys every moment of life and incident. And that's what the girl likes in him. No matter he's not good at other things, but then he's a guy who lives his life to the fullest. And the incidents that happen in the process of them getting to know each other is probably the story. So this is a very simple block that I'm telling you guys. So it's not very complicated to understand. But then in that, how are you going to stitch this event? Are you taking a very linear approach? Are you taking a very non-linear approach? It becomes very, very critical for you to understand that. And that objective of defining, you know, I want my guys to have a surprise at, say, if it is a 15-minute film, at every 5 minutes, I want to give them a surprise. You know, if the story goes in this particular narrative and people think this is what this love story is going to be, you know, suddenly there is a turn that happens at the 5th minute. It says, okay, the story is not like this, but the story is going to become something like this. And then again, at the 10th minute, the story takes a turn, and then again takes a U-turn in terms of what the story finally ends up in. And generally, these are the ways things work in a short film, because if you see that short films work great when it either has a single message or it has a turn of event that you didn't least expected, the construct works very efficiently and becomes great and interesting. Moving on from there, I would say, like, you need to, once you kind of defined your story and what it is like, I would say you have to get to defining your audience. And I'm telling you all of this before you even touch your camera. Because, you know, the urge for all of us is to go pick the camera and start shooting. So we all rush to making the films, because I remember even in, at college days, you know, we used to, the teachers or the professors used to tell us, they say, hey, no, where is your script? Have you done your storyboard? Have you finished it all? So we would say, no, why? I have all that in my mind. I know what I'm doing. You know, it's very much in my mind. And I used to say, I'll just make it. Why don't you see it once we've done it? And they would say, why? Why don't you put it on paper? At that point, that rush, it all seems very clear that you have everything chalked out in your head. But then we miss out of hundreds of things when we don't put that mind to paper, because there's some magical thing that happens, when you actually pick the pen and the paper and actually start putting it down. So the first thing I would ask you to, once you've kind of thought of a story and this, is to think of who's going to watch this. Because you made a film, you want to showcase, because in my office, I meet so many students, so many people who come down, they bring their show reel. I ask, why did you make this film, or why have you done this? This ends up being with a blank objective. Most of them, they said, no, I just wanted to make it, or in the class or in the part of the course I had to make, so I made it. So that can't be the purpose why you're making it. Of course, the course and the degree would have certain things that you're making, but then you're in a course or you're making a film because it has to come from your heart primarily. And that's come from your heart. Then also there's somebody who's going to sit and watch your stuff. Think of him too. Because it's just not about you. Because you can make anything, but is there somebody watching it? And when I'm saying define that guy a lot more. Who's he or she? How does he look like? What does he like? Because you need to dig that, because when I make a film, I need to think one guy in my perspective and put that in place. So it's like I'm making a sporty action film. So I know general tendency of my film could be people who are into sports or people who are into action. They love cars, they love bikes, and they want to. So my movie is a short racy film. So I know who I want to target. And these are the guys I want to target. And this is a film that I'm going to give to them. So define that in your mind and when you're writing, because once you've defined that, you will start putting a lot of parameters inside your story as to say, okay, these are car and bike action lovers. If I make a story that is appealing to them, let me put all this in perspective, ABCD things. So my story can't be like, I said that it is a soft romantic love story. If I had to have an element of action and rush in it, I said, okay, maybe this hero of my film is a bike lover. He loves to race and he does something, but okay, in his stunt to impress the girl, every time when the girl walks in, he might be a great guy with a bike, but whenever the girl comes around, he just crashes or he misses something. But why he himself cannot understand why that such something is happening like that. I'm saying construct elements like that. So you build your layers. So, okay, so every potential bike guy or a car guy is going to love this guy, this story. Because once your audience falls in love with your protagonist, they're going to love your film. And then how you showcase it, your craft is also going to come out. So it's very important that you define these parameters very, very clearly when you're doing your paperwork. And I would say in the first page itself, do this. Because it might sound like vanilla, but then if you actually dig deeper and deeper into it, these are by far the most difficult questions. The biggest of the producers in the world go wrong in terms of defining this. That's why movies flop. It's just not about the story is bad, because some films you see the story is good. Like, what happened? Why did it go wrong? We keep wondering, right? Why did this movie not make it in the box office? It's probably somewhere they had a wrong calculation of their audience, or they made it for a different audience and presented it somewhere else. And once you've done this, today you need to think even more. You need to think, how is this guy going to consume it? When does he see it? Because today it's no more just theater. So you're making a short film. Where is your short film going to go? Your short film is probably on YouTube, it's on Instagram, it's probably on Facebook, and then you're sending it across to different digital festivals. So you can pick up whatever platform you want. And when the guy is over there and the people over there are consuming your content, he's probably watching it a bit in the morning, then he's paused it, he's got something else, he's gone out, he's coming back again in the afternoon, then probably catching a glimpse of it. Or then he says, okay, enough. He goes back out with his friends, comes back in the night and then consumes the rest. So that's how he's going to consume it. Where does he see it? He could see it in his bedroom, he could see it in his restroom, or when he's chatting with his friends, anywhere, anywhere. And the very most important, how does he see it? Is he watching your content? Say most of them consume a lot of these content today on a mobile phone. So is he watching it vertically or is he watching it horizontally? All that is going to matter. I'm saying, why don't you think of vertical films today? If you're making a very short, crisp story, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, people don't force the people. People feel lazy today to even turn the phone this way because they say, oh, okay. Or you're losing in a vertical format screen, you're just occupying 1/3 of the screen. 2/3 of the screen are left blank, or there are distractions in it with some other content. So you want to be fighting with that space for your movie to grab the eyeball attention. And this is how today your short film game is. It's no more that you made a wonderful video, you put it on YouTube, getting just your friends is not enough. You need to, if you have to garner a few million hits or a few thousand hits on your videos, how are you going to do that? And it's going to happen if you are very clearly sorted. So if you say, hey, I'm going to make a short 2-3 minute film, it's like a small incident or a scene or a sketch that I'm making, that's all is that story about. And you shoot it in a nice vertical video. Today you have top filmmakers doing that. And a lot of them are even exploring making longer form content in the vertical format. So have these considerations even before you start doing anything. Put all these structures in place. Now, I would want to ask you guys, what is your preferred format of shooting? I know most of you are into filmmaking, so I know we're all kind of obsessed with the landscape format of making. How many of you would actually make a vertical film? Do type it in the chat window if you feel vertical, type V, and if you feel it's horizontal, type H, because it's interesting for me to know how many of you feel this way, whether you want to shoot horizontal or vertical. Or if you are very clear in terms of your thought process as to you making a particular format in terms of say horizontal or vertical, have very clear reasons as to why you're doing that. So the next question is, so what does it take? It's planning your team. Typically at a student level, what happens is you end up a story in mind, you go out, you start capturing. So the very first format is start putting down a few things very critical into you. Say, what is going to be the duration of the film? Am I making a 2-minute film or a 3-minute film or a 5-minute film? Put that in place. And then how much time are you going to spend making that? Is it going to take you a couple of days to shoot that, or you're going to manage things in a couple of hours? Who are going to be involved? Typically what happens when you're doing films at a school or a college level, you end up picking up the nearby friends or your closest friends. Is that a combination that you want, or you need specific resources, or you're just doing a one-man job? You have probably a GoPro and you want to shoot an interesting video with that. Fair enough. Put that in perspective and write that down, because that's going to make a big difference. So I'm sure a lot of them urge you in terms of the pre-production process that you have to be doing that. So the first and foremost, I would say, get your script in place. Write this down, no matter whatever format you want to write. Either you want to, I'm showing you an AV-based format to write, or you want to write your classic Hollywood narrative style of writing your script. Put the elements out there very, very, very clearly, because the paper should be so good that if you can give it to your production person or somebody in your team to handle it, they can see and they know what needs to be aligned. See, today what I do with my team is also when they are there, I always insist with them. So the filmmaking, the shoot could be for 5 days, but they would spend 15, 20 days doing the pre-production work. Putting every element in place, what are you going to capture? What is the visual that's going to come? Then for the posting, if I'm going to shoot this visual, this is how it's going to be packaged in the post so that it's not just in your head. When the editor gets the piece of paper, he knows what he has to cut and what needs to be done. And you've communicated the idea out. And it's very important that you're in a position to communicate and put your idea on paper. It's very, very important that way. And once you've written your script, done all the parameters, keep this basic thumb rule. If you go with this whole detailing part of writing a script, a typical A4 page would give you about 3 minutes of content. So if you're making like a 10-page script, it's kind of roughly going to come about 30 minutes of a film. You need to have this matching correlation written so well, because time it out. When you write your description, if it's a shot, a lot of people just say, cut shot, this guy, cut to that guy. No, it doesn't happen that way. When you write your description, write like this. Say, for example, the scene is this guy gets up from the bed and then he walks towards the fridge, takes a glass of milk, drinks, puts the glass back on the table, and then walks slowly towards his door, opens the door, then exits the door and walks down the stairs. And as he walks down the stairs, he looks at his watch and suddenly he realizes he's late. And then he starts scrambling down the stairs and rushes out of the building. So when I write something descriptive like this, and if you time it out, you'll say like, okay, this is going to be about 15, 20 seconds of my time. And that 15 to 20 seconds of your time has to be timed and should be described in your narrative. It's only when you write like that, you will see that when you picturize, like when I said this, I'm sure most of you would have kind of got a picture. Okay, this guy is getting up, he's going there, he's going to the fridge. Like each one could visualize this guy to be somebody else, or this person could be in a different colored dress, or somebody could visualize him in a short, somebody could visualize him in his pajamas, or somebody could imagine him to be in his like workwear, and whatever is the combination. You put that perspective and then you see the action, then you kind of time it out, then you can imagine the character walking like this, opening the doorknob, the door opening, closing, then the shot of him going. So it becomes a very, very, very clear narrative in your writing itself. So even before you've done the breakdown further. So it's very, very important that you write it out in this fashion, because I see a lot of them don't write it this way. They don't time it. So I'm saying every element of your writing should be timed. And if you time it, you are going to have a winner project or a winner script in hand before you start your shoot. And once you've done this, do the next aspect of building the film together, which is your storyboard. The storyboard need not be beautiful in its drawing. It could be a set of scribbles. So now if I take the same storyboard, the storyboard could be like, how are you going to picturize this in the storyboard? The first opening shot, how big is the shot? Do I give it a long master wide shot, establish this guy's space, room, or it's a cramped? So that gives a sense of a wide room, well set, lit room can kind of give a sense of luxury. Maybe this guy is well-to-do, he's got a good house. So you're setting a lot of messaging in your frame through what you're establishing. So I said this opening establishing shot is very critical to show that picture to people across. Do that, because that will create the first impression of your film. And then what is he doing? What are the props around? How is that? So the next shot is, this is one, you can treat this as one block shot. You see this guy getting up, going, doing, or I said a sequence of events, he's getting up, rushing and going, or it's like a little time-lapse shot, You saw the guy getting up, he's rushing, going, coming back, fridge opening, then again a time lapse. So that if you want to show a sense of urgency and rush from there itself, you can show that. Or you cut to different narratives, establishing shot, then cut to a close-up of that guy's reaction. If you want to communicate a little more mood there, what is he feeling like? How is he feeling like? So that's your story narrative. How are you going to put the story across in your screenplay, in your storyboard? If you cut to certain shots of that guy, you getting to connect to that person. But in case you don't want to connect to the person, it could be a lot more of the surrounding. So then I'm talking more of the environment and not so much about the character. So think through elements like this and set up your shots. It need not be typically that you do a long shot, then you cut to a close or a mid close and then a close and then again come back to a wider shot. And also when you're shooting, it's very important that you think of your elements of post. So if you want to have a wider shot, the same shot maybe again shot on a mid-range, or you have a multi-camera setup, so you shoot like your wide and your mid together. Because that gives you the option to play around how you want to set up the mood in your film. So write these things out in terms of what you want to picturize, what are you going to capture, whether it's going to be a close-up or not. And it's very critical to do this at this stage. And once you've done this, is when we head out to the production part. So don't head out to production if you haven't done all this. And when you're talking about production, when you come down to production, one second. When you get down to production, do your recce. Or you want to do a short film which is like just set up in your home, or you're doing a lot of content which is like filmmaking tips from home, whatever could be your format. Or wherever could be your surrounding. It's very, very important that you do your work in terms of your location. What I'll do is at the end of the session, I'll probably also share some cheat sheet, which will be useful for you guys in terms of setting up and planning your location guides. See, when you think of your location, how do you go about planning your location? It's very important to do that, because have you gone down to the location? When you go down to the location, when you typically do that, shoot your location from 3-4 different angles. So when you come back and sit back at your room, okay, I'm going to set this character here. This is what is going to happen. There are a lot of things when you physically see, you might miss a lot of things in your surrounding, which might have got unnoticed. So always take references of your location that you're going to take in all possible angles. One is a lot of times when people take that, 1 second. So a lot of times what gets missed out in the whole process here is let's get my camera booted up. Yeah, so what happens in a lot of places in this kind of a situation is you will see that we've taken picture of your location, you've seen things around you, and then you come back and figure out there is something left behind. Or you recorded that at that place and you come back and then you realize There is the light at that place is very different because I went in the morning, but then when I go back there in the evening, the light just shifts into a different direction. There is a big shadow. I can't use natural light. Or there is sound, which can be extremely disturbing because there is a nearby school or there is a nearby factory, which I went on a Sunday to do the recce, so I didn't hear the sound. But then the day I'm going to shoot there, there's a terrible noise that's going to come from there. So that place becomes non-usable, especially if I'm trying to record sound live. So your recce is one of the most critical tool. Like we spend tons and tons of hours in terms of doing a recce, going, visiting, coming back, doing the homework, again going, rechecking whether it's all right, whether the location is set, whether it's good to go. And it could be as simple as a simple product shoot to anything. It's very important to do that. And then you come back and do your referencing, do your homework, do your storyboard, write it down, set up your mood, and set everything, and then go for the shoot. Like I can give you an example. Like tomorrow morning, I have a early morning catalog shoot for a international leather brand. So what I'm doing, my team, we've gone, done a recce of the location, we've set it up, we've planned it out, and then we've gone, taken references of the location, we've taken references of the model, we've taken references of the garment, we've taken references of the poses, all of that. And then come back and said, okay, probably I think this is what we need to do and set this up. I'll probably share an example here. See, if you look at this, so we've done some location. So we've taken a location, we've taken the costume, what is going to be the post like, what the location is going to look like. See, within the location too, where is on the beach, you know, the garment that's going to come there, we've taken references, shots of this. See, this is not done, but we've done homework in terms of saying what the post is going to be like, what the location is going to look like. And this is done multiple times. Like, our team was there even today early morning, going back to the location to see, okay, there was a little climatic change. There was a rain last night. So is that place going to be good enough to shoot tomorrow morning? So today early morning, the team went there to check out at sunrise how the quality is, whether the soil is okay, whether the floor is going to be good, because you get everybody up there and then you realize things are not in place, then it's a big issue. But how do you overcome that is when you can plan something like this and be set. So it's very important that you do your homework in terms of your location and plan every aspect of it. Very critically, your light, sound, the kind of camera that you want to use, and the action that you want to tell. All the critical elements that we talk about, you know, your sound, lights, action, and camera. All these are going to matter to you there because if you get these things fixed. And all this happens in the recce stage itself. And then, of course, the vanilla things I would call, this is like planning your gears, whether you want to use a DSLR, whether you want to use a film cam, are lights necessary, outdoor, am I going to use a bounce or a reflector and take it forward? Am I doing live sound or I'm coming back and doing the post? Don't leave it all open-ended. Have this all fixed. Even if you're doing like a frugal, super duper frugal shoot, have this in place before you go out. And today, if you want to get this platform out, like say, for example, you're going to make a film today virtually. You probably are not going to a location also. So there are people who are making films on Zoom, stories on Zoom. So how are you going to do a film like that? Because today probably the new order is to do something like that because you are no more going to probably do 200, 500 people. Shoots are still a kind of a distant day, you know. But if you have to make a film today, very quickly, it gives you a wonderful opportunity because you can collaborate with anybody across the globe and make a film. So if you're doing something on that kind of a digital platform and trying to make a short film like that, then Very, very critical. Plan your platform, plan your angle, plan how is going to be the lighting, because I might look a little more white, the person on the other side is looking warmer. How am I going to fix it? Because when I'm going to cut from this shot to that shot, what's it going to be like? So it's very critical, and the order of the day is changed very much today in terms of how you think of your films. So this is also one important factor that you need to keep in mind, because if you're going to do films like this, these are all going to be parameters that's going to work. And then your post. Of course, today post happens right from a mobile phone using tons and tons of apps, or you're using your classic desktop or laptop to sit and do your film, whatever you take up, be it FCP or Premiere or Avid or Adobe or whatever you want to take it up. I'm saying plan your machine and gears too, because you want to shoot some stuff in 4K and you have a laptop and you're sitting with that, it's going to choke unless your laptop is like superly beefed up in terms of the RAM and the processor. It's also critical that you plan these elements, because you can't have a great shot footage and you don't have a machine to fix and edit that out. I see a lot of times people struggle with these elements. They have a great machine and the footage isn't great, or there's great footage, great stuff. They don't have a great machine to put it back together in the right perspective. So it's very important that you have all this planned and chalked out. And once you've done this, the most important element, your content. So what is going to make the core of your short films content? So, and I hear this out in terms of people. So most of the time I find people are like blocked with the idea, okay, idea varla, what should I do? What should my idea be like? What am I making this film about? All those battling thoughts in your mind. But with that kind of a battling thought in your mind, it comes down to the big question, which is, what do you think ideas are? Are ideas original or ideas inspired? There could be a big debate in the house today if we have to open this up for discussion, whether ideas are original or inspired. But then remember this very important thing, we are all a sum total of tons of inspiration that we're getting. But then these inspirations are like dots, different dots of ideas that we're getting. How you connect this dot creates an experience that's original. It's not about original ideas. You create an original approach, or you create how you've connected the dots becomes original. The dots are all inspiration. Everybody is getting different things to be inspired about. But how you connect these dots of inspiration and create something new helps you to make an original product. Because if you take the dot as it is, then it's a copy. That's what, and people say, I've got inspired from. Then you've just taken it as it is. But then you connect that with some other experience of yours in some other place, and then bring all these things together, you create an original idea. And that's very, 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 very critical to short films. So you see, you're making short films. You are daily consuming different kinds of films. So that's one of the reasons I am not showing any short film to you guys today. The idea for me is not to show here short films. The idea, because you are going to be consuming that content any which ways. If I show film A, you might talk about film B. The idea is not to look the difference between film A and film B, but then for you to say, okay, I like, so don't just get caught on by the technique, I like the way this guy has taken this camera shot. Okay, I'm going to take this idea and I'm going to just use this. No. Maybe you have some other compelling reason, maybe that guy used for something else, but then you're doing, hey, you know what? I like that technique that guy used. If I apply this technique in terms of maybe like all this cheap hacks that you have, I use a towel as a slider, or things like that, which typically when you do in your college films, you might not have all the fancy gears at hand, but you might say, okay, I'm going to use A and B and try and do something. And that is very, very critical. How you connect the skill, the craft, and take it forward. And once you've kind of understood this distinction. It brings me to the question that I want to ask all of you, very important. It's this question. Everyone is making a short film. Everyone is making like this can be a syndrome in college, final year or second year. Everybody is making a short film. Okay, I have to make a short film. So what do? Okay, he's doing this story. I'm also doing this story. You don't have to be. Because remember this, we all get constantly conditioned. I would say the conditioning happens at every stage, at home, at school, at college, at work, where we're constantly being told that we have to be like everyone. Everyone is doing this. I think we should also do this. Is that you all want to do? Or you get caught into this thing saying, everyone is special. Like I would say today, I said, everyone is special today because in my days, getting an access to a camera was like a luxury. Like somebody had a camera and said, wow, that guy's got a camera. Let's see if he can do something. And it would be like one DSLR he would have, which can take stills, or one guy has a small handy cam, so we can do something. So I'm saying today, that way it's decentralized. Everyone has a smart DSLR, or at least they all have a smartphone, which clicks amazing pictures. Most of them shoot at 4K. So what's stopping you? You have a gadget, ready-made camera in hand all the time, 24 hours. So I would say everyone is special because today it's all about everyone feeling. So both are very dangerous. Like I would say it was in our times where we were conditioned to think like everybody's doing this, so do this. Or in today's scenario where everybody is special, so everybody's got everything. See, in this syndrome, what happens is nobody is different. Either you follow the herd in terms of following the normal norm, or you think everything is special, so everybody's trying to do something special. And in that process, you don't try and make anything different. You are just making something like everyone. And if that is the case, you need to realize it is in your hands. It's very, very much in your hands. When I say it's in your hands, your simple, most effective tool is your mobile phone. It's in your hands all the time. You should be thinking like, okay, I can make a film every week. Can I put this up on YouTube? And that should be the kind of thought that you guys should be having today, because if you're a filmmaker, if you're making content, it's no more the old school that I make a film for 1 year and do that. See, look at the film industry today. Whole film industry is shaken up. The order of the film industry, the way film industry is made, it's all changed. And going forward, you'll see it's also going to get more and more decentralized. You don't know if there could be the classic debate over theaters versus OTT platforms, but then we are all migrating into different things. And that will even move into something else tomorrow. You have to be that much agile with what you have in your hand and to make content. It's only about making more and more effective content and your consistency, because that is going to what define. If you're making short films, say, for example, say every Friday I make a short film and release. It could be short, 1 minute, 2 minutes, or every 15 days I make a film and release. You will start having a follower for you. Hey, this is this guy or this is this girl who makes a film. Like, let me take an example. This girl makes a film on gender equality, and she makes a film every 15 days. People will fall in love with the consistency of making films. Your quality may not be top notch, but then I can tell you, you will push this. You make 10 films. It's like a potter. You know what happens when you put your hands in the first time in your potter's wheel? You don't get a nice looking pot coming out. It probably turns up something or just turns out to be a lump of clay. But then the more the time that you start spending, it's just about that hand moving. So it's like our filmmaking is like that craft. The more you keep using this to make, so you'll develop your story better, you'll develop your camera techniques better, you will get your editing techniques better. but you will get better and better at it only if you make more and more. Because if you make 20, 30 films, by the time you've done 20 films, you'll know the first 5 films are trash. Okay, move that off. But you know, by the time you're in the 15th or 20 films, you've kind of mastered your craft. And today it's all the more effective and simple that you can actually go out and do it. So today the game is not about that one short film. I'm saying, I'm surprised today with people today and the students. Your portfolio should have like 20 short films and not one short film or one music video or one commercial. If you want to showcase commercial, I think you can go out and make 10 commercials today. And that's how you need to be thinking, because that's how companies are going to look at you. They're not going to value whether you've used an Alexa to shoot or have you used your iPhone to shoot or even your Xiaomi phone to shoot. Whatever could have been done. But have you shot? Have you made something? And that's going to be the key. Because you need to take this like a game. You need to play with it. And it's as simple as that. Because the more you play with it, it's like a game. It's all about gamification today. Your short film is a gamification game today. Because people are talking about tagging video overlays, tagging ad commercials on a film. And all this is happening, and YouTube and Google are already working on it. So your video gets tagged with different commercials, different key points. So if you have an interesting content, anything of yours can be monetized. And there is scope. Think game, think play. Because your short film process today is more on those lines. And that's where the world is heading to. And once you think like this, you make it a fun exercise of gamifying this whole process and not a very structured, rigorous process, you will see that you are able to do even more wonderful things. Which is you coming out and saying and projecting your vulnerable side. When I'm saying presenting your vulnerable side, I'm saying presenting your true side. And that comes out. And when that true side of yours comes out, people start liking you. People start liking your content. And that builds trust in people's mind. And people start trusting you, they will follow you, they will chase you, they will be behind your content. It's like this, why is that you go to a certain hero or a certain artist movie? Because you trust that this guy delivers this kind of stuff. Like, let's take a Rajnikant example. Why is that you go and watch a Rajnikant movie? So you trust that this director, when he works with Rajnikant, he's going to deliver this kind of a thing. But then if that has not happened, your trust gets defeated because you've gone with a certain expectation. But then first for you guys would be to build that. And it could be short films. And short films are amazing because today people don't have too much of time for long form content. So people would love to see different short films. And I would urge all of you to have like an amazing looking YouTube channel with content flowing into it every week or every fortnight, nicely done. I'm sure you all have not just films or take it out. You will have an industry amongst yourselves. And that's how it is, because today the world order is collaboration. You'll have to collaborate with your friend. Your friend will have to collaborate with you. And you both together would probably have to collaborate with somebody else. Diverse thinking, diverse technology, diverse methodology. And that is how your short film content is going to be made. It's just not about you. It's about the collaboration game that you can bring in. And with collaboration, you can get amazing stuff. You can get amazing music done. You can get some amazing videography done, all through amazing collaboration. And if you don't build your trust group and your collaboration group, be sure if you don't collaborate, it will collapse. Because the order of the day is, if you don't collaborate, you will collapse. So if you are young filmmakers, I would urge you to do this and then be creative and be happy. And that's what is the primary motive behind making your films. You could convey a sad story, but your process of making has to be creative and you feel happy about it. And that's what I want you guys all to think and start on this journey. And I'm right now, feel free to shoot some questions across and I'll be happy to answer.
Yes, thank you, Harish. That was an amazing session.
Thank you.
Very wonderful, and your passion towards questions. Harish will answer all your queries. Harish, there was a question by Mitosh Joseph, who had right at the beginning of the session itself, he had typed this out. Do you think a script is a must for short film? Can we bypass it if someone is very much through with the frame by frame process in mind? You did answer this, but maybe once again for Mitosh Joseph.
Yeah, I would lie. In fact, I said this because I knew somewhere this is going to pop up. Because what happens is when we're starting off, I think it's that little rebel, that thing runs in our minds where we say, hey, why do I need to do all this? I want to make films, I don't want to go through this whole rigor of writing it down, doing the paperwork, again, rehashing, redoing. But trust me, the filmmaking process, if you're doing 1 day of shoot, if you're doing 10 days of preparation and 10 days of post-production, trust me, you're going to have just 1 day of shoot. And you can do amazing stuff. Because that writing of script and storyboard, I would say it is just not important. It is the Bible, or it is the book that you need to have with you. What are you making? Because what you're doing in terms of your script preparation is all preparing for that one. Or you've decided, then don't call it a short film. Then it's like a vlog. What you do vlogging is you go out and you just capture content. You just keep capturing content and then you put it together. Then it's not a film as such anymore. Or it's like a little documentary process where you don't know what is the outcome of the situation or what's going to happen. So you go there and you capture the moment, like wildlife. You're gonna think there's a tiger that's going to come out today here, and you anticipate and you put your camera and sit. And probably you sat for an entire day and you got nothing. And exactly probably when you shut your camera up and you see the tiger pops up. And that's the kind of learning. So, but if you're making a short film where I'm going to make A, B, C kind of a thing, and I'm very clear in terms of my objective, I think paperwork is a must. Because you'll have super clarity when you're making your film. You'll use the least amount of time, you'll use the least amount of resources, and trust me, you'll spend the least amount of your own money or somebody else's money when you're doing the production. So that's very, very critical. And I would say, though I used to believe in what you were asking and I used to rebel in the same way. In fact, we made some films without a storyboard, without a script, and have tried doing that too. But then trust me, that's probably not the right way to do it. The best way is to do your own paperwork. And it's for you. It's not for anybody else. You're making the film, you're doing it for you. I'm saying be selfish from that perspective and say, I need to make a great film. I'd rather have great paperwork done.
Very true, Harish. Now, there is a question from Akshaya. She's a student of GRD College of Science. She asks, sir, in a world where quality content sells, doesn't having a limited budget mean having to slack on quality invariably?
Yes. See, quality today, quality content is just defined by, there are several parameters when we talk about quality content. Quality content is in terms of quality of writing, quality of planning and pre-production, quality of production, and then quality of making, how it's shot, and then of course the quality of post-production, and finally after post-production, quality of dissemination, how the output is given out to the world. So there is quality at every stage. And I think as a student today, what's stopping you from, say, quality at pre-production level? You can do as great homework and research like anybody in the world. You can do your script. You can do an amazing, you can do multiple drafts of your script and then storyboard it. You can go around looking at your location, what needs to be done. Today, even if you use an iPhone, the iPhone shoots 4K, so you are as good as a Hollywood camera or a crew. Yes, you need to know how to match and do certain hacks in terms of your post to make your iPhone footage look, or even a GoPro footage look as great as a top-notch international product. Or of course, all of you use a DSLR, I presume. So your DSLR footage can be as good as anything else. You can do top-end international content using your DSLR. So it is not necessarily a budget game anymore. Unless you want to make a Vijay movie or a Rajnikant movie, where you want 500 guys dancing behind you and you want like a huge fortress from where he's jumping. Yes, that kind of production is not going to be a game unless you have a big producer backing you. But then other than that, you can communicate and sell amazing stories. I'm saying look at, in the context of short films and films, look at Marathi, look at Malayalam, they have done phenomenal content with one of the most frugal budgets. And that's the power of your thinking, your content, and I would totally not agree that budget, because unless you be clear, because if you're on a low budget and you try to make a Vijay film, you're going to fail badly. Because the expectation of gloss and glamour of that is not going to come here. But then you can make a different kind of film. And people are today pretty much putting both of them on the same plate. Because what I am getting at the end of the day, I am getting entertained. If a sub 1 crore film can give me entertainment vis-a-vis a 100 crore film, I'm okay. Not everybody makes a Bahubali every day, right?
A question from S.R. Padmanabhan. Can you please give us a few ideas about vertical films, sir?
Yeah. Vertical films is what is working today. A lot of platforms and people across the globe are doing, like Apple is going aggressive with promoting people to do films. They are doing a few features using vertical films. Your YouTube is geared today to support vertical. So you upload a vertical content, your YouTube automatically resizes and fits into your phone vertically. So in fact, somebody like a YouTube could go and classic, your YouTube used to be your horizontal landscape obsessed. Like I personally, if you ask me, I'm still kind of on my personal choice. Yes, I would love the landscape format, because we've lived with that landscape format for so many years. So we're kind of obsessed, but then vertical is the new form. So you can make music videos, you can make your short films, you got promos. Already most of the top commercials in the world for the digital platforms are getting directly done on the vertical format. And they're building interactivity. See, what is happening is the frames can become two. So they are making commercials where one character is on top and the other character is down. They are interacting between these two characters. You should check out some of the top-notch vertical commercials of Kit Kat and all that. They've done some amazing, phenomenal work. And that's how the world is moving there. So vertical films, especially if you're looking at short form content, even I would suggest if you're making short films, you're making commercials, especially, and if the dispersion is going to be on the digital platform, please look at vertical formats. Your way you picturize is going to change. Your story narrative is going to change. The way you're going to write for it also has to change. So it's going to be up, down rather than right, left. See, that's the fundamental how you need to start reorienting your thinking, your frames for a vertical film. Then I see some questions. Can we take a film without spending money for 10, 15 minutes? Yes, I told you that. Because phones, you have a mobile phone, you're a filmmaker. You can make amazing content today. So then comes everything. Take your mobile phone. You can have free apps. Your mobile phone is some gadget I assume you have, because that's something. And if you have a mobile phone, you can get a free app on your mobile phone. you are good to go and make your film there. Very much there. I think budget is literally out of the window for today because it's no more criteria and stuff like that.
The next
When
from
you're
she
creating a
asked,
short film,
when
yes.
you're creating a short film, do you create a mood board? And what genre would you prefer when you're creating a short film?
Oh yes, mood boards are the really good stuff because if you're going detailed into your film, I wouldn't see mood boards generally happen like what I showed you in terms of a shoot. Whereas in a film, what I would call that as part of your pre-production work, where you set up everything there, right from say there are actors, so you planned your costume, you planned your location, you've done your homework in terms of what the sets could look like. So at a planning level, it could be a mood board. The mood board then turns into a reality production script. The production script is not your written script. From your written script, you do something called as a production script. The production script is something where you have other details. On shoot, on day one, if I'm shooting, I'm going to shoot scene 6, 9, and 12. And for this, the characters are so and so. For them, what is needed? They need to have ABCD costume, and these are the props, these are the locations, and these are the shots. So you break your script into a production script on the day of the shoot. So the people in the production get a paper as to what they need to be ready with production. The people in the camera and art department, they get their feed, and the actors get their feed. So that production script becomes what you need to be going down on the floor, not with your big script of your story and flipping through pages. No, you break your script and rewrite that into a production script. And you have tons of free software today online which does that for you. You know, you go to a studio binder or any of those softwares, you write your script and mark what is the character, what is the action. It splits and gives you a separate production script on its own. It picks up from your story and gives it to you. And you say, I'm going to shoot scene 3 and 4, it gives it to you for that. And you can very well do that.
Gopi Krishna wants to know, sir, will it be a practical decision to approach a production house for a short film?
It will be a tough one, Gopi, because for a typical short film, unless you've proved something, you've done something, somebody is investing their money. So now that person who's investing that money, what is he going to get in return for the money he's investing in the short film and on you? So if you have to get somebody to invest on you to make a short film, it's going to be a tough, very, very tough one. If you have a very, very strong case, a strong idea, maybe crowdfunding could be an idea that you can put it up and put it up on the website and see if somebody wants to play. But typically approaching a production house which is really making content, they may not really fund you. Unless they are doing a lot of YouTube content, they might want another YouTube content. Like you have today, a lot of YouTube channels, they are looking for some content. So if that somewhere fits into their genre of something that you're doing, they might be willing to invest on your idea.
Venkatesh Aravind wants to know how to inculcate critical and out-of-the-box thinking among students, given the fact that they are in a way restricted to ideas and concepts due to curriculum restrictions. They invariably restrict themselves to a set criteria of ideas.
Okay, that's a tricky question though. But I think, see, unless you want to, I think from a curriculum perspective, I would say, yes, if you're making a short film inside a college or you're making a film that you want to present, I'm sure they'll have a set of taboo topics. You know, they don't want to touch upon sex, religion, politics, these kinds of topics to make a film because it becomes a different kind of a debate in an educational institution. But I think that is not only an idea that it's going to say that, okay, why are you making this film? So you can make a lot of stuff around. So you can take that topic and see how you can make it a sensitive topic and make a film rather than just make it a controversial subject or an approach. I think just like I said, even a sense of religion, politics, or sex, any of these taboo topics can be made into a consumable content, provided you're not getting into a controversial zone in terms of how you are depicting your content. So if you can make your content depiction more sensitive, more thought-provoking, you are there. It should not be. So I don't think it stops anybody from making any kind of a content, unless you want to really make content to provoke. So that should be the question. Because like even you go down to festivals and all that, there are some festivals who are open to it, but some festivals very strictly say we don't want provocative or instigative content. I would say not even provocative, and then instigating content. Certain scenes for the sake of having a scene. So if you are saying that is an idea, then I would also disagree in terms of that being an idea. Your idea could be anything, your topic could be anything. It's about how sensitive are you to your environment. You have to be clear of your audience. Like I said, you know your audience. If you're making a film for your college is also one of your audience. So you cannot go and change anything there. You know what is that. So, but that doesn't stop you from doing your ideas. I would say go ahead and try.
There are a lot of questions even on the YouTube platform, and I will ask a few of them to you. Chaya Anil Kumar wants to know what should be the maximum time limit for a short film?
See, generally when they say short film, people, the numbers are very debatable here, because today, if it is 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, is all a criteria which was earlier being defined by television formats or stations which they were buying content of that nature. So they kind of said, okay, that's a short film, this is a feature, this is a documentary, this, if it is a serial, this has to be 27 minutes, this has to be 30 minutes, this has to be 45 minutes, this has to be... Today, this whole number game is broken. But typically, if you're making something short, yes, it has to be short. You don't make a 2-hour content and call it a short film. So obviously, you typically do anything under 45 minutes or 30 minutes. It's a great thing to do. But some of the best short films are like under 10 minutes, 10, 12 minutes. They make great stuff. But then there are people who make like 30-second or 1 minute, also great short films. See how much your story deserves. I would not urge you not to put too much of thought in terms of, I need to make a 20-minute film, I need to make a 30. That's secondary. I would say, see what your story demands, how much of time you need to spend. And if that story is tight and crisp to that duration, go ahead and make it for that duration.
Yes, very true. Now, Alvin Robert wants to know, what is the difference between film scripts and an ad script?
See, a typical ad and a film script in terms of the writing process is pretty much the same when you write it. Because even in an ad, it's about storytelling. Great ads have great stories. But then certain ads are more sales driven or just a promotional base. So you may not have too much of scope in terms of variables to tell your story. But then see if you can tell a story in that duration. Within that 30 seconds, within that 20 seconds. And today the game has become completely different. You need to have, earlier it used to be like, if you have read this, establish, then you build your story and then finally give. Today, no. Today the game is completely different. You need to give the hook right in the beginning, because if you don't give the hook in the beginning, within the 5 seconds, the guy is going to skip your ad. So your ad making process changed completely. Because what we used to do, set the mood, tone, build a little suspense and finally break the whole idea. Today, the guy is not sitting for 20 seconds or 30 seconds. People don't have patience beyond 5 seconds. I'm saying, look at yourself. You need to put yourself as an audience. How fast are you desperately waiting to press that skip button? So is the same way when you put your content, the other guy is also think. So you need to get your hook up. So if you're making a commercial today, you have to think under 5 seconds, under 10 seconds, can I get my story crux out? And if I build that interest and there is something interesting, the guy is going to give me another 10 seconds or 20 seconds to watch. So that's how the game of ads are going today. Because television kind of appointment-based listening and viewing is gone. Where earlier it used to be like, today is movie time, so all of us at home would sit and watch a movie. So we were compelled to watch the commercial, we'll take that. Today we are not. So if you're making a commercial, you better be short and crisp and get that. Whereas in a short film, you've kind of made it clear it's a short film. So you have that little time. But even there, I would tell you, if you can't hold the guy's interest in the first few minutes, the guy is going to tune out. What's happening with OTT platforms? So many web series coming. How many web series gets completed? Less than 2 to 5% gets completed. People watch the entire series. People watch a bit, they get bored, that's it. They skip the entire series out. So that's the way you need to be thinking. Hold the guy's attention, repeatedly hold attention at regular intervals, and then that's when you're going to get the guy's attention for the rest of the time.
Gautam V wants to know, sir, which genre of the short film do you prefer is easy to impress most of the audience?
Okay, as genres, if you see, very easily impressible and you can do great stuff is humor. At the same time, humor is one of the toughest genre to make, because to make people laugh and actually give people a good sense of humor is a tough one. But then that is something that really cuts across. If you make good general humor, not the humor like only one particular community can get or only one particular region can get. If you can get a larger humor, which is applicable to a larger set of audience, so then it will work like anything. If you can get a lot of content that way it works. Then of course, other genres that generally kind of suspense, thrillers, a bit of crime and horror, these are though a little bit of classic cliches, but then they also get their audience and attention. So these are genres I think you should try and pick up easily. But in case you're trying to tell a love story, in terms of you're trying to build action and stuff like that, like if you want to do an action-based story, not too many short films are action-based. So at the same time, reason being, your production cost, building it up, all that becomes difficult. So pick up certain things which you can make well within your budget and well within your control, and you will be able to make a big difference.
Bipin Kumar asks, sir, can we take bloodshot scene or shots in a short film?
Yeah, why not? If the story demands, I think you should be able to take that.
Okay.
And some of the films, in fact, have those, like if you watch a lot of, say, Southeast Asian films or South American films, they have a bit of this gory attacks. You'll have those blood splashing onto the screen. You'll get like a piece of flesh actually coming and hitting the screen and just dripping it over to the ground. I think they do all that. To some it's like extremely gross and others. Some like it because it's like raw. But there's no rule or anything as to how much. But then what you show, need to show it interestingly and realistically.
Ashwin Surya wants to know, as a storyteller, what one should focus on? Telling a story? Should I have to tell what audiences are comfortable in hearing, or I have to take my own stand to what I necessarily want to tell?
Yes, very, very nice question, Ashwin, because I think it's a classic debate everybody gets caught up with. This is what, trust me, nobody in this world has really cracked what the audience really wants to listen to. So you need to tell your story from the heart, passionately and truly, and you will have an audience for it. You just have to know where is your audience sitting and how you can place it to him. Because you just can't say, because when you say your audience, this is a story I want to tell. And for this story, I know the guy, these are these guys. And I know this is a pattern. So you have a kind of a pattern in mind, what they will like and what you'll do. And then you make the story for it. So you are also true from your end, and you also potentially know who they are.
Manu Niket wants to know, sir, audio plays a crucial role in short films. Can you suggest some ideas to get a high quality audio for the short films?
Oh, yes. I urge everybody to say this, because a lot of student films fall flat because their audio is very bad or badly done. They rely on just ambient audio with lots of noise, or they put very badly dubbed studio sound. Both of that can be a killer or a bummer when it comes to do. 1, 2, 3 things that you can do in case you're doing a short film. You can do simple live recording. You can get one of these Zoom recorders with you, portable small recorders and mixers, try and do live sound. It can build a lot of mood, and it doesn't cost you much. You can hire them for as low as $500,000 type. You can get those live recorders and use them. That will capture a lot of natural sound. When you're capturing, have the right stuff. Whether are you mic'd or somebody is using a boom. Take that little bit of extra effort to capture the sound, because typically what happens I have seen is they take the camera out and they're just capturing the scenes. And then when they come down to dub, they just go to a studio which is like you're shooting a real noisy sequence outside on the road. And you've shot like the dubbing is done into like super clear, damp audio sound from a studio. If you want to make it realistic like the movie, then you do the homework again to mix that sound with a lot of ambient noises. Today you have tons and tons of stock audio websites which give you free content. Go access those content. There are tons and tons of sites which give you free stock videos. So you want a nice looking sunrise, you don't have to necessarily capture that. You can still pick up a nice stock sunrise, cut it to your scene, put it together, or you want some international location to be added as part of your story. You have tons and tons of stock shots. Good 4K, free of cost. Use all of those resources and make your content sound good. Sound is very, very critical.
Lydia Rachel wants to know, sir, today's PSA advertisements are equally creative like commercial advertisements. Can you please give us some few ideas to make PSA advertisements, as the students have a lack of idea amongst how to make it?
I think student community makes the best of the PSAs, because I remember even our days, the most interesting challenge used to be making a lot of PSAs in college, because everybody gets to make PSAs and submit that as part of their project. Because I think PSA is a cause that you need to relate to or you know about it, and you can really get creative with a PSA. Because I would say, look at what you want to talk about. Say, for example, say you want to talk about traffic, or let's take very topical, today it's COVID times, people are not wearing masks. Can you make a simple story of, you don't have to even shoot, you can just collect different images from the internet, the memes that are running right now, people putting their mask on their head, some behind their head, from their neck, connect it with another image which somebody else has done for something else, and then say mask is meant where it has to be if you want to really protect. I'm saying simple things like these, you can pick it up. I tell you, PSA is one of the best thing to explore, and you can do it, and you can go out and put it. And it's amazing. And today, I think if you want to make a PSA today, I would say make PSAs for COVID times, mask hygiene, sanitizing hygiene, all of that. If you can make content, I think, you can go and give it nice produced stuff. You can go and give it to the government bodies. They will happily take it today because they want somebody to make content and give it to them. And as a college, if you go and say, hey, here are 10 nice commercials that we made for the department, and we would like the department to use this commercials free of cost, I'm sure they'll be happy that somebody's giving to them. At least they'll take it up for their social platforms or even television. I think that's something that you should immediately try and make something and approach.
Thank you, Mr. Harish. Thank you for so patiently answering all the questions. We will wind up the session now, and I call upon Mr. Sujit Suri to deliver the vote of thanks. Sujit.
Yeah, thank you. On behalf of School of Communication, I take this opportunity to propose the vote of thanks. First, I wish to thank our managing trustee and our correspondent, Dr. D. Padmanabhan sir. He has been always a great source of inspiration and has always encouraged us in all our endeavors. He has a keen interest in cinema and initiates several activities for the department. Thank you, sir. I also wish to accord a deep sense of gratitude to Ms. Geeta Padmanabhan, Joint Managing Trustee and Secretary of the College, for being a pillar of support in all our activities. Thank you, ma'am. And finally, our chief guest of the day, Mr. Harish Kumar sir. Thank you so much for sharing your experience with us, and your ideas and thoughts provoking are very delighted. So thank you once again, sir, for giving us your valuable time and being here today. And finally, it is our duty to thank our principal, Dr. T. Shanta, for guiding us and lending her support and opportunity in all that we do. Thank you, ma'am. And I also wish to thank my fellow students and the staff members for their team effort to make this event a success. Thank you all.
Thank you, Sujit. Thank you, Sujit. And once again, I thank all the participants and the students for being very active in this webinar. Thank you all so very much. And once again, thank you very much, Harish sir, to having made this a very, very interesting session.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harish.
Thank you, ma'am.